Okay, ready?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So 2025 Azores Veterinary Practice Client Appreciation Luncheon. We're outside, it's hot, it's a little windy. We got some music playing, we got Highway 99 behind us, so it's a little loud, but today I'm joined with, and I'll let him introduce himself. But just to give a little bit of a summary as to what's going on today, every single year, Azores Veterinary Practice, Dr. Sergio Pereira, his family and the various associates that are here hold a nice client appreciation luncheon. And then we have brand representatives, sponsors come in, set up booths to intermingle, communicate with the clients, communicate with the industry, and obviously just to spread awareness for their company. So my first interviewee here, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, honored to be the first one here. My name is Jim. I work for Parnell Veterinary Pharmaceuticals. We have about 3 products in the portfolio, with more coming, but Estraplan, Gonabreed, and then Respiromycin. But we're very repro focused, and really big on value add stuff with data and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's really 2 things on a dairy, right? Getting them pregnant and milking them, and you got to do one right to get the other. And so, yeah. So.
Awesome. How long have you been with Parnell?
5 years, and it's actually my first gig in animal health. But, you know, I applied for the job 3 different times from 3 different websites, and nobody reached out to me. Really? So I went on the company website and said, can somebody come look at my profile, please? 3 months later, I got the gig, and haven't looked back. But it's been, it's been the best job I've ever had, actually.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. With me personally, we're having some malfunctions, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as the day goes along.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Going through vet school, I mean, they talk about there's 3 options. You can either go into practice, you can go into clinical research, or you can go into industry. So you coming from the industry side of things, and for our viewers who are either watching or listening, what would a day in the life be for a brand rep who is trying to sell a product to these dairies or to these veterinary clinics?
Yeah, great question. Actually, I don't think I've ever really fully dove into it, but a lot of it kind of starts with organization. Who are you going to go and kind of go with the purpose, right? You just kind of hit the pavement and start stopping at dairies. I mean, you might, blind squirrel's going to get a nut, but you got to have a method to, where you're going. Sure. And so you do your research. Who owns the dairy? Who's the vet clinic? Who are they buying from distribution-wise? And so I'll stop on a dairy, introduce myself, kind of let them know if there's any sort of technical conversations that are going on. I always think it's pretty best practice to sort of let the vet know, like, hey, I was here talking to so-and-so, just giving you a heads up, or their distribution rep, hey, I was so-and-so. So communication's key. But really, man, it's selling yourself. I mean, I truly believe that a lot of it is, you've got to have a good price and you got to have a good product. But a lot of this job is are you somebody that this person wants to have a beer with, right? I'm paraphrasing, but that really comes down to, are you a good and honest person? And you can't teach that. So typically it's kind of going in there and really just not even selling, trying to get to know them, right? Like, do they have kids? Are their kids in sports, right? Yeah. You're going to get 5 different answers to this question by different sales reps. For sure. I'm just telling you the way I do it,
of course. So. No, I mean, different people are going to do things in a different way. But I appreciate you saying that, because I feel like going through vet school, the only thing they pound into you is the medicine and how to treat animals. But I think that 50%, if not more, of veterinary medicine is actually
relationships,
a people person job.
How much of that is a learning curve do you feel like for other? I mean, my experience with large animal vets, you guys seem just as social as anybody else. But I spent time working in human pharmaceuticals. Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of MDs that are very socially awkward. Yes. I don't see that too much with vets on the large animal side. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure you saw some awkward people in vet school.
There is, yeah. And I mean, the veterinary schools and the programs, I mean, they try their best. We have classes called professional skills where they hire people who act as actors, and you kind of got to interact with them, and they have a patient. So they try to expose you to it as best as they can. But it's just hard. Like for me, it's if you're not a people person to start with, like growing up, if you're not able to talk to people, if you're not able to have a conversation, it's a really hard skill to learn.
Yeah.
But I mean, with you in sales, with us in veterinary medicine, if you don't know how to, especially in large animal, if you don't know how to talk to people, it's
And
a
everybody,
really hard job.
Yeah, and everybody hears information differently, right? So, you got to know that if you're talking to, we started learning this thing called DISC, right? Where usually most people fall into these different buckets, their communication styles. So I know if I'm talking to a very type A like person, they don't need all the details. Just get them bullet points and let them get on with their day, and that's okay, But then there's people that they do want to know how's your wife, how's your kids, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are people that are just dealing data, just numbers, right? No emotional attachment to anything.
Yeah.
So within that, it's learning to kind of pivot on who you're talking to as well.
Yeah.
And that's a skill I kind of plan on continuing to learn and forever. You know what I mean?
No, being able to adapt based on the situation that you're in
Yeah, for sure.
is going to be something important.
I got a question for you though, actually.
Yeah, okay. Tables have turned.
I'm curious. So where do you see the vet profession in about, let's just say 10 years, right? Because it seems that there's more guys doing ultrasound on dairy in-house stuff for palpation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on what that looks like in 10 years from now?
Yeah, really good question. And I mean, it's something that me and Dr. Pereira and the other associates talk about often. With large animal medicine, it's tough. Like, we're going to these operations where these people at times know more of something in regards to cows than we do. Like, let's say nutrition, for example. Like, we are exposed to a certain extent to nutrition in veterinary school, even in your undergrad if you're doing an animal science degree. But these guys know way more than we do. I mean, we try and help, we try and offer advice and all that. But we say it often, and I mean, palpating cows is not the future of large animal medicine.
That seems to be the general consensus that I've heard as well.
Yeah, like there's this saying, you can teach a monkey how to palpate a cow. It's something that is a good revenue generator for large animal practices for sure, but I feel like in order for a large animal practice to succeed, you're definitely going to need to be able to provide extra services, whether that be different species or whether that be more in-depth services in regards to dairy. Some of the issues that I feel specifically here, I mean, in Canada, it's dairy supply managed. So these guys are getting a certain price at the end of the month, and they're, I don't want to say guaranteed to make a profit, but they're not going to lose as much money as these guys sometimes here are going to be losing.
Yeah.
So they're more willing to do the intensive care, intensive management, intensive medicine on sick patients or sick cows. Whereas here, sometimes if a cow goes through one or two treatments and she doesn't come out of it, guys are just going to get rid of her.
Yeah.
So as a practice, it's tough. Like, if you don't have a big pharmacy, if you don't have a lot of clients to be able to do palpation, you really got to rely on additional services, whether that's through dairy or whether that's through like what we have here, sheep, goats, pigs.
That probably ties into the relationship aspect too, right?
Yeah,
so.
For sure, exactly. And I mean, it's large animal medicine is difficult in the sense that it's hard to penetrate certain areas. Like even here, if farmers are with a specific dairy vet, they're not going to leave that dairy vet unless one, excuse my French, but shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Or two, that veterinarian retires or dies.
Yeah. So
to establish yourself as a practice, it's pretty difficult, especially in an area where there's three, just in our North Central Valley, three pretty large and influential dairy practices.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not even 12 months out yet, but I know that the future of veterinary medicine is going to be a lot of consulting. Technology's coming into play. That's also taking a large role from a lot of aspects of the industry, not just veterinary medicine. So I definitely think that we need to adapt and try to find as many areas or as many niche markets as we can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Last question that I wanted to ask you before we head out here is, as brand representative, as a person who's going on farms, and with just having passed avian influenza and whatnot, how do you, for the viewers to know, ensure one, food safety, but also the welfare of the animals, so that you're not potentially bringing on certain illnesses or diseases to these farms?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the first thing goes back to what I initially said is open communication, okay? So when bird flu happened,
Yeah.
I did not step foot on a dairy unless that farmer knew that I was going to be there. Didn't cold call, didn't do anything,
Yeah.
just out of respect. Now, maybe some guys wouldn't have cared, but all it takes is one person, and you know, pardon my French, but you don't get your ass chewed, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a level of respect that you have. And I talk to dairy owners, to vets, and ask their opinion. Hey, this is how I'm handling it. What do you guys think? So first off, stands with communication. The second is you know, whether it's booties or disinfecting your tires and just sort of having that. Even now, I mean, people, it seems to have dissipated, but I still will keep booties in my truck. I still will keep disinfectant in there. And again, it's open communication on comfort level and stuff like that. But again, everybody's different. Don't ever assume that somebody's gonna be just like, oh, well, they're not gonna care. It's like, well, you don't know. So I think if you always have a healthy respect for somebody's livelihood, because we saw bird flu nailed everybody, right? So being conscientious, I think, goes a very long way with that.
For sure.
And I'll tell you what, it is an honor to be here, though, because I will tell you, when I started, I just wanted to say this.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of market share in the area, hardly anything, okay? When I took it over, it was starting from bare bones.
Yeah.
And Azor, I'm not just saying this, I would say this off camera, too. Azores gave me a chance when close to nobody else would. And for that, will always be very grateful.
Awesome.
So that's something that I will never forget.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to do everything I can for you guys above and beyond. And I mean that
Appreciate
sincerely.
that, yeah. I mean, you've been here long before I have, so I mean, kudos to the people who have been here before me. I mean, Dr. Pereira, the management and all that, for being able to essentially take you in and accept your product and kind of disperse it through the different
and just
clients.
good people, you know, good people to work with, and that's I tend to think that, as I said, like, you want to sort of be a good person, good honest people. And I think those kind of people attract each other, and you work well together in that capacity. So
for sure,
thank you for having me on. I really do
appreciate that. To end it off, I mean, you're an industry representative. I know a lot of younger people who are listening might be in an ag degree, whether that's ag business or whether that's animal science. I know with me, if vet school didn't work out, I'd be in animal nutrition. I didn't even think about pharmaceuticals at the time. But for people who are listening who are interested in entering the industry, whether that be pharmaceuticals or ag in general, what are some tips or what are some pointers that you can provide them?
Great. And honestly, I think I'm a good person to ask, because I'm going to have I don't have an ag degree.
Okay.
I went to UCLA, which is obviously, everyone knows, a top ag school in the nation.
But
I went to UCLA, and I hardly, like, I didn't have an ag background. I mean, I grew up around dairies. My uncle had a dairy, and we had close family friends, so I for sure knew more than the layperson.
Yes.
But I didn't get my degree. So in California specifically, it's a very competitive area.
Yeah.
Every person coming out of Fresno State and Cal Poly has an ag degree, right?
Yeah.
So you got to get it, and I don't, but to me, it comes down to, my advice would be, stay positive, talk to everybody about it. Like put yourself out there, and all it takes is one person to kind of to open the door and give you a chance, and that's really all you need. It is hard, though. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. People want these jobs because they are good jobs. They are fun jobs, and they're interesting jobs. So my advice would be, take whatever job that you can to get your foot in the door in the industry.
Okay.
Even if it's not going to pay much, and try to have a level of humility, not, hey, I just got my degree, so I should be paid this. Well, it's like, I didn't care. I had my degree. I didn't care what I was going to make. I wanted to get into animal health.
Yeah.
So I took the first job anybody would hire me, and just so fact, it ended up working out for me.
Yeah.
But that would be my advice: is don't get too caught up. If you don't have your animal health degree, and you want to get in animal health, it's not impossible, because I did it. Like, you know what I mean? You just gotta stay positive, talk to people, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like I said, just don't. This sounds cheesy, but really, just don't give up. Because like I told you,
Yeah.
I applied for the same job 3 different times until somebody called me back. So
No.
just keep pushing.
And
you know?
I mean, I'll harp on that point. Like even with people who are listening or students that want to go into vet school, I didn't get in until my 4th time.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
it took me 3 denials to be able to apply a 4th time and to actually get in. So
There you go. If you want to make it happen, you'll make it happen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
Not to throw around those cliches, but I'm 34.
Yeah.
My life experience, it's that really comes. That's what it comes down to.
For sure, yeah.
And I will also say this too, just if you don't have an ag degree and you want to get in the industry, I really believe that anybody can learn anything if they're interested enough.
Yeah.
And like I said, I feel like I didn't have my degree in ag, but I was genuinely interested in working in dairy.
Yeah.
And that you can learn. You can't learn. To me, you can't teach being a good relationship person.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Either you got it or you don't.
I think so. You can
Yeah.
improve on it, but most
Yeah.
people, you're either a people person or you're not.
No,
You know?
I agree.
So.
No, awesome. Well, I thank you for taking the
Of course.
time.
Thanks, Doc.
For
Appreciate
sitting
it.
here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Likewise, we'll see many more. And I heard you're a golfer, so we're gonna have to hit the course here from.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I know. I'm up for it anytime. Do you play a lot of golf in Canada?
Not a lot, but I dabble.